Now that you understand the basics of variables and we talked a little bit about data types, we're going to look at some examples of declaring variables of different simple types. Now, a simple type are the variable data types that are built into the C# programming language. And they have very defined structure as far as how much space and memory they take up and rules about what kind of values can go into each data type. So let's run through some of the common built-in types and see how to declare variables in our C# application. So I'm starting in our C# console application, the one that we created in one of our very first lessons. And if you don't have that, make sure to go walk through the process of creating a new project to get a console application. So the first data type I want to talk about is the Boolean, right? And I'm going to use these comment marks that start with 2 slashes, and these are ignored by the compiler. They just allow us to make notes, but this way we can mark each type. So a Boolean data type is a true or false value, and we use the bool keyword to create variables of this type. And so the structure when declaring a variable is to use the data type, in this case bool, and then I would give it a name, such as maybe I want to use a true-false value for a quiz. So I'm going to say quiz answer. And then we use a semicolon. Now I can go ahead and provide a variable value by using the equal sign. So let's say I want to set this to true to start with. I could set that to true. Boolean values can hold either true or they can hold a false. The next one we're going to look at is the char. Char is a single character value, such as a single letter. So single character. So if I had char letter, then I could put in the letter A. Now we use the single quotation marks when we're denoting character values. So for char, we have to put that value in a single quote value. The next one let's look at is integer. This is the one I talked about in our previous lesson. Integers are whole numbers. So I can have int is my data type that I use for an integer variable, a number, give it a name, and then I could have 5. The second one that we talked about was decimal. And decimals can have floating point values, right? Or decimal point values. So I use the word decimal. And then I could have something like 5.5. Now, the key here with decimals is we can't just type in 5.5. You'll see here that our Visual Studio gives us an error. The correct syntax for this is to use the letter M to denote that we're creating a decimal value. Another one that we can look at is the string. So strings are for strings of characters, words, sentences. So we use string. Note the difference between our char, where we use the single quotation marks, and string, where we use the double quotation marks around the value. So there are some of the common built-in types for our variables, and you can see the structure here is always to give it the variable name using the particular keyword for that data type, a name. Remember, variables are named locations in memory, so we give it a name, and then we can equal it to a value that meets the criteria for that particular data type. So as we move through our programs, we'll be declaring various data types. These are some of the most common, and we'll look at various ways that we can use those in our applications.